you say, vote against the government because somebody else will look after getting the PAP government, and you just become a free rider. And you vote opposition, no harm, the PAP will still be there. Then I think the system must fail.
I don't think the residents in Aljunied, Hougang for 30 years now, and even Sengkang, as a result of the results of the last election, would appreciate being called free riders. They're not free riders.
We have a form of minimum wage policy via the progressive wage model. Yet, until recently, we had deemed it unwise to make it universal and still dress the policy with so many additional conditions that the incentives for upskilling turn into loopholes that employers use to retain workers on the lowest rung of wages.
I would not exaggerate the differences between the PWM model and the minimum wage model. The PWM model is a minimum wage plus. I would like to suggest that none of us have a monopoly over compassion. Raising the standard of living of the poor is a complicated matter. And I say this, by the way, as an economist, as someone who studies overseas experience very carefully, and who, together with my colleagues, is a practitioner. How do we do it without losing that wage earner's ability to have the pride of having a job and earning a wage?
The issue is when we lament that a Singaporean occupying a certain position is somehow not homegrown. Then I think we really have to ask ourselves the question, as parliamentarians, as elected representatives, what is the message we're sending to our citizens, but also in particular to those who have, as I said, out of conviction chosen to be Singaporean.
Let me begin with a mea culpa. We acknowledge our error in not stating that data from Trace Together is not exempt from the Criminal Procedure Code. I take full responsibility for this mistake, and I deeply regret the consternation, the anxiety that was caused by my mistake.
I wonder why Minister Heng remains dismissive of soft capital.
Let me say that in parliamentary debates, please do not put words into my mouth. I did not dismiss soft capital. You said that I was dismissive of soft capital. I did not. I said that we have to be careful. I sound a word of caution about soft capital. Precisely because it is soft, it can morph into various shapes. And I had mentioned how very many good schemes started with very good intentions, with very good people, but precisely because it's soft, the shape changes, and over time, everything becomes a capital investment.
In essence, what the member is saying is this. He's saying that you have the NIRC framework. Can we not relook it? Now, we all know that things are not set in stone always, but we also know that when it comes to a matter of public policy and when you have frameworks, especially frameworks for expenditure, you cannot just chop and change every other year.
Now, Mr. Leong also claimed that the burden for paying various expenses came down to our workers. This is wrong. Let me just repeat what I said in Parliament again, that about half of our workers do not pay income tax. About half of workers do not pay income tax at all. So I hope that if Mr. Leong would like to make a contribution to policy making in this chamber, please be rigorous. Come here with fresh insights or new facts. Bring this to the House for debate. Please do not reread and reread your old script.
My generation at least remember this headline, this cover page in the new paper, which was in 1997, at a very sensitive time just during the elections, and it was a checklist to help you decide how to vote. Minister spoke earlier about objectivity and balance. The only thing objective about this cover page is the EPL scores, no win for Liverpool and also for Manchester United.
I'm disappointed that the leader of the opposition has decided to make political capital out of something that I think is quite fundamentally important to us. He went back to 1997 to bring out an example, and then he says, just last year, the Chinese media put forward this year, Chinese media put one point of view, and the English media put another point of view. Isn't this the diversity that we want? Isn't it the diversity that the leader of the opposition has been talking about?
I think Mr. Leong is waffling. Yes, no, it's quite hard to catch. I take it that you are not withdrawing your allegation, and so be it. And I think that will be, well, at least we got you to say FTA and Singa is fundamental to our survival. But if you continue to allege, notwithstanding all our explanation, I think there is no choice. We have to leave it as such. It is regrettable because generations of FTA negotiators worked very hard to make sure our interests are all protected. And this is not a backdoor. This is not an avenue for any professionals from any country to enter Singapore with a free hand and unfettered. But I take it that this is PSP's position, notwithstanding hearing all our explanation. It is most regrettable, but we will have to accept how they feel.